All right, let's jump into the deep end, shall we? We're diving into the 48 laws of power today.
Ooh, fascinating stuff.
It really is. And today, we're focusing on the laws of perception. We've got summaries of each law ready to go. Think of it as our decoder ring for unlocking how to create an image that commands attention and respect.
Love that. A decoder ring.
Right. It's all about image. Have you ever noticed how some people just have this aura about them? Like they walk into a room and everyone's instantly captivated? What's the secret?
Good question. Is it pure charisma? Or maybe it's carefully calculated strategy?
Or could it be both? I have a feeling Robert Greene might have some answers for us.
Well, it's funny you say that, because Greene's very first law, never outshine the master, dives right into that.
Oh, that's interesting. It almost seems counterintuitive, doesn't it? We're always told to strive for excellence, to be the best.
Exactly, stand out from the crowd, right?
Right. But this law is suggesting that sometimes maybe a more subtle approach is needed, especially when it comes to navigating power dynamics.
Absolutely. You have to play the game.
So how does that work in practice?
Yeah.
Are we talking about holding back, deliberately dimming our brilliance?
Not necessarily holding back, but being strategic, being mindful. It's all about how our achievements are perceived, especially by those in positions of authority.
I see. So pick your battles.
In a way, yes. Let's take a modern workplace, for example, especially those with a remote team structure. Visibility is key.
Definitely. Got to stay top of mind when you're not always face to face.
Exactly. And it can be tempting to, really play up your accomplishments to stand out.
Oh, for sure. It's easy to fall into that trap when you're remote.
But this law suggests that maybe, just maybe, a smarter approach is to highlight your contributions in a more subtle way,
Less is more.
Exactly. While still making sure that you're giving credit to your superiors, to your team members.
Oh, I like that. So it's about teamwork, but still subtly letting your own competence shine through.
Yes. Demonstrating your competence without overshadowing.
Smart. So it's not about dimming your light. It's about, angling it strategically.
Exactly. And, it's all about recognizing that true power often lies in making others feel empowered, which actually brings us perfectly to law #4. Always say less than necessary.
Ooh. And this is one I can get behind. A little mystery goes a long way, right?
Absolutely. It's all about the power of strategic silence.
I'm picturing, those master negotiators.
Oh, yeah, the best ones.
The ones who they hold their cards close to their chest. They give you just enough to pique your interest.
It's never the whole picture.
Never the full hand.
Exactly. They make you lean in. And in a world where everyone's constantly shouting their opinions.
Oh, it's so true. Information overload everywhere you look.
Right. So the ability to say less can actually make you stand out, makes you memorable.
I'm starting to see a pattern here. It's like we're creating a persona, a carefully crafted image.
It is a bit like that, isn't it?
We've talked about being strategic with our accomplishments, choosing our words carefully. So what's the next brushstroke in this masterpiece of self-presentation?
Well, law #6 tells us to court attention at all costs. And this one, it might seem pretty straightforward, especially in our age of, social media and personal branding.
Oh, yeah. Everyone's clamoring for attention these days.
Right, exactly. But this law, it has a nuance to it that goes beyond just seeking the spotlight.
Yeah, it can't just be about being loud or flashy. I mean, someone like Steve Jobs, he commanded attention.
He did.
But he did it with, this minimalist style, those carefully crafted presentations.
You hit the nail on the head. It's all about stagecraft. Understanding how to create that compelling presence, whether it's through your personal style, your ideas, the way you carry yourself.
But it's not just about getting attention. It's about shaping the kind of attention you get.
Yes, you want to make sure your message is heard, that it sticks.
And remembered. All right, so we're building this persona. We're commanding attention. What's next?
Well, now we switch gears a bit. Law #16. Use absence to increase respect and honor.
Okay, this one feels a bit counterintuitive. Aren't we supposed to be present? Show up consistently. Isn't that how you build relationships?
Consistency is important, yes. But this law reminds us that, scarcity can be a powerful tool too.
Oh, like a limited edition item.
Exactly. Or think about a musician who rarely tours. That limited availability.
It creates a buzz, a sense of exclusivity.
Precisely. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, right? By strategically withdrawing, making ourselves less accessible.
We become more desirable.
You got it.
Right.
And this doesn't just apply to physical presence either. Remember, law #4, always say less than necessary. Sometimes holding back information can be just as effective.
So we're back to that strategic mystery again. It's fascinating how these laws all weave together.
They do. And speaking of weaving, let's bring in law hashtag 30. Make your accomplishments seem effortless.
Oh, this one feels tricky, especially in a culture that's obsessed with the hustle, the grind.
Right, exactly. But this law, it's not saying to hide your hard work. It's more about presenting those achievements in a way that suggests ease, mastery.
I see. So not broadcasting the all-nighters and the caffeine-fueled work sessions.
Not necessarily. Think about it. Athletes, they make the most difficult moves look effortless. Artists, they create masterpieces that, well, they seem to just flow out of them.
Yeah, it's like they're channeling something.
Right. It's an aura. Like success is just an inherent part of who they are.
So it's the art of making it look easy, even when it's anything but.
Exactly. Which can be super powerful, particularly in creative fields.
Okay, so we're creating this image of effortless success. But what about law, hashtag 46? It says, never appear too perfect.
Yeah.
Now, this seems to go against everything we've been talking about.
It does seem that way, doesn't it?
We're trying to project this image of success, of competence.
Yes. But this law, it cautions us against striving for that unattainable level of perfection. Think about it. Have you ever met someone who seemed too perfect?
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's almost off-putting.
Exactly. Because it feels inhuman.
Yeah, like they're not relatable.
And this law, it suggests that by letting a little vulnerability show, a hint of imperfection.
We become more human, more approachable.
Precisely.
It's about finding that balance then. Confidence and humility. Competence, but still approachable.
Absolutely. Being human, not superhuman. And you know what? This exploration of the laws of perception has really highlighted something important.
What's that?
How much power lies in shaping our image and how others see us.
It's true. And you know what? It's interesting because these laws, when I first heard about them, I thought, oh, this is all about manipulation. But seeing how they can be applied, it's more nuanced than that.
Oh, it is. It's about strategy, social dynamics. It's fascinating.
Okay, so we've mastered perception, or at least we're on our way. What's next in our deep dive into the 48 laws of power?
Well, now that we've laid the groundwork, it's time to move from perception to action.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's see how these perceptions can be transformed into tangible results.
Let's do it. All right, from the world of perception, let's step into a new realm.
Ooh, I like that. Where are we headed?
Into the realm of action.
Okay, action. Love it.
Yeah, these laws of action, also from the 48 laws of power, they're all about, well, taking charge.
I like it.
Making moves, getting things done.
Okay, I'm so ready for this. Lay it on me. What's the first law in this action-packed section?
All right, let's start with a good one. Law hashtag 3. Conceal your intentions.
Ooh, this one always intrigued me. It sounds like we should all be playing poker. Like keep those cards close to the vest.
That's a great analogy. It really is all about strategy, about playing the game. You don't want to tip your hand too early.
Right. But wouldn't that be considered deceptive?
Not necessarily deceptive, more like strategic. It's about timing.
Okay, timing is everything. So walk me through an example. How does this play out in real life?
All right, imagine you're leading a new project at work.
Okay, got it. New project. I'm excited.
Right. If you come out right away, guns blazing, announce your big vision.
Yeah, everyone's going to have an opinion.
Exactly. You risk encountering resistance, criticism. Someone might even try to steal your thunder.
Oh, that's the worst.
Right. So by keeping your intentions under wraps, you can assess the situation.
Kind of scope out the landscape.
Yes. Build support, get your ducks in a row behind the scenes.
Okay.
And then, when the moment is right, bam.
Yeah.
You unveil your plan.
Everyone's on board because you've already laid the groundwork.
Exactly. You've controlled the narrative.
Smart. Okay, so concealing our intentions, check. What's the next action-oriented law?
Well, this one flows nicely from the last one. Law, hashtag 8. Make other people come to you. Use bait if necessary.
Ooh, now we're talking. I like the sound of this one.
It's a good one. This one is all about, understanding what motivates people and then, using that to your advantage.
So are we manipulating people?
Not necessarily manipulating. It's more about attraction. Instead of chasing after opportunities or approval.
Oh, I see. You let them come to you.
Exactly. You make yourself the object of desire.
So how do we do that? How do we become this, irresistible force?
Well, one way is to cultivate those unique skills, that expertise that everyone wants. Think about, tech wizards.
Oh, yeah, the ones who can solve any problem with a few lines of code.
Exactly. Or, those creative masterminds who always have the next big idea.
The innovators.
Yes. By becoming that go-to person in your field.
You're indispensable.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're concealing our intentions. We're making ourselves indispensable.
Yeah.
What other action-packed wisdom does Robert Greene have for us?
Oh, let's get a little more direct. Law #9. Win through your actions, never through argument.
Oh, that's a good one. I've been in so many meetings, debates, where it's just words, words, words.
And nothing actually gets done.
Yeah, exactly. Just a whole lot of talk, no action.
Right. So this law is a reminder. Actions speak louder than words. Always.
So instead of getting bogged down in endless debates,
Focus on results. Tangible results. Let's say you're pitching a new product. Okay.
got it, pitching a product.
You could have the most elaborate presentation filled with data, projections.
But a live demo, that's what really seals the deal.
Exactly. Show, don't just tell.
It's about proving your concept.
Yeah.
Okay, loving these action laws, what's next?
All right, let's get to one that, it tends to elicit some strong reactions.
Okay, hit me with it.
Law #15. Crush your enemy. Totally.
Ooh, okay. This one makes me a little uncomfortable.
I understand, but I think there's a valuable lesson here, especially if we don't take it literally.
Okay, so not going all, Game of Thrones on our rivals.
Exactly. When we say crush your enemy, we're not talking about violence. It's more about facing those challenges head on, decisively.
Like, if there's a problem, you tackle it with everything you've got.
Yes. You don't let it linger. Half measures, procrastination, those just make things worse.
So be bold. Be proactive.
Exactly. Think about, like, a surgeon removing a tumor.
Oh, I see. They don't leave any trace of it behind.
Precisely. That's the kind of decisiveness we're talking about.
Okay, so crush your enemy, more about crushing those obstacles that stand in our way. I like that. What's next?
Okay, now let's talk about seizing the moment. Law #28. Enter action with boldness.
I love this one. I've always admired people who they go for it. They take risks.
This law recognizes that boldness, it has power, it can inspire, it can create momentum, it can open doors you never even knew existed.
So if you're hesitant, maybe a little afraid to take that leap.
This law says, go for it. Think about a startup founder launching a brand new product.
Or like a social activist who isn't afraid to challenge the system.
Yes. Their boldness, it can be contagious, it can spark a movement.
It's inspiring, for sure.
Yeah.
But boldness without any thought behind it, that can be a recipe for disaster, right?
Of course. It's not about recklessness, it's about calculated risks.
So boldness, but with a strategy.
Absolutely. All right, ready for our last law of action?
Hit me.
This one's especially relevant in our hyper-connected world. Law #42. Strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. It sounds a little harsh.
It does, yeah.
But I think there's a lot of wisdom here, especially when it comes to tackling complex problems.
Okay, I'm listening. What's the key takeaway here?
So many systems, whether it's social, political, organizational, they rely on a central figure, a core principle.
The linchpin that holds everything together.
Exactly. And this law, it suggests that by strategically targeting that central point,
You can create a ripple effect.
yes, that can, dismantle the whole system. Think about a company with a toxic work environment.
Okay.
You could try to address individual behaviors, but sometimes it's more effective to
Go to the source.
exactly target the leadership that allows that toxicity to thrive.
I see. So it's about finding the root of the problem and addressing it head on, not getting lost in the symptoms.
Precisely. These laws of action, they've given us a lot to think about, haven't they? It's all about taking those carefully crafted perceptions and putting them into motion.
It is. But, actions, they don't happen in a vacuum, right? We're always interacting with other people.
That is so true. Which brings us to our final group of laws,
Okay, what have we got?
the laws of relationships.
Ooh, I'm intrigued. Let's dive in and see what wisdom Robert Greene has to offer on that front. All right, we've talked perception, we've covered action. Now it's time to tackle the laws of relationships. Think about it. Every relationship, whether it's personal or professional, has this, underlying current of power dynamics.
It's true, isn't it? Every interaction, there's a push and pull, and Robert Greene, he dives right into that with these laws.
So which law is first up in this relationship roller coaster?
Let's start with one that sparked, probably endless debates. Law #2. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies.
Okay, I could already see why this one is controversial. It almost sounds cynical, should we really be suspicious of our friends and see our enemies as potential assets?
It's not about being paranoid. It's more about, I guess, recognizing that even in the closest relationships, Power dynamics exist.
Right, because people change, situations change.
Exactly. Ambition gets involved. Think about it in a, fast-paced startup environment.
Oh, yeah, those can be intense.
Right. Friendships form quickly, but then as roles shift, as the stakes get higher,
Things can get messy.
they can. Loyalties get tested. Sometimes friends become rivals.
So it's about being aware of those shifting alliances
Mm-hmm.
and realizing that loyalty, well, it's not always a guarantee,
Mm-hmm.
especially when ambition is involved.
Exactly. And, the second part of that law, learn how to use enemies. It's fascinating because it suggests that former adversaries, once you neutralize that animosity, they can actually become really valuable allies.
Interesting. So it's like keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer, but not in a, big brother kind of way.
Right. It's more about once you've worked through that conflict, they have this unique understanding of your strengths and weaknesses.
They know your game.
Exactly. And once you can channel that energy, that former adversarial energy, into a shared goal.
It can be a powerful force. Okay, so we're being strategic with friends. We're potentially converting enemies into allies. What else does Robert Greene have in store for us?
Well, let's talk about a law that, it can seem a little manipulative on the surface.
Uh-oh, I'm a little worried now.
It's law #11. Learn to keep people dependent on you.
Okay, yeah. This one, I can see how it would raise some eyebrows.
It definitely goes against the grain of, the whole empowerment thing. But think about it less as manipulation and more as,
Strategic positioning.
yes, it's about developing those skills, that knowledge, those resources that make you invaluable.
Okay, I'm listening. So, how would someone put this into practice?
Imagine, a software engineer. They have the expertise to solve those mission-critical problems.
The ones no one else can figure out.
Exactly. Or, that charismatic leader who can inspire a whole team. Their power comes from their ability to provide something unique, something others need that they can't easily find elsewhere.
So it's not about controlling people. It's about making yourself the essential piece of the puzzle.
Precisely. And you know what? This actually flows perfectly into law #13. When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude.
This one sounds very practical. It's like you catch more flies with honey than with vinegar.
Right, exactly. It's about recognizing that people, well, they're more likely to act when they see a benefit for themselves. So when you need something from someone,
Don't guilt trip them. Show them how it's a win-win.
exactly, frame it in a way that highlights their own self-interest.
Okay, smart. So we're being strategic. We're appealing to self-interest.
Hmm.
What other relationship wisdom does Robert Greene have to offer?
Well, this next one feels particularly relevant in our world of social media and information overload.
Oh, okay. Tell me more.
It's law #14. Pose as a friend, work as a spy.
Okay, this one sounds a little sneaky. Should we all be like undercover agents now, gathering intel on our friends and colleagues?
No, not exactly. It's more about being discerning, about the information you share and the information you gather.
So be careful what you reveal, but also pay attention to what others are saying.
Yes, knowledge is power. And sometimes, carefully cultivating relationships can give you those insights you need. Think about a good negotiator.
Okay.
They take the time to get to know their counterpart, understand their background, their goals, even their fears.
So it's about listening actively, reading between the lines.
Exactly. Realizing that every interaction can be an opportunity to learn something valuable.
If you're paying attention, of course.
Ah,
Okay, I'm starting to feel like I need to up my observation skills. So we're being strategic, we're gathering intel. What's next?
well, this one might seem a little contradictory to what we just discussed about building alliances.
Okay, how so?
Law #20. Do not commit to anyone.
Oh, wow. That does seem a little counterintuitive. Shouldn't we be building those strong connections, creating lasting relationships?
It's not about rejecting relationships entirely. It's more about maintaining a degree of autonomy, flexibility.
So don't get so caught up in an alliance that you lose your independence.
Exactly. Think about a political leader. If they align themselves too closely with one faction,
They lose their ability to maneuver. They become beholden to that group.
exactly. So this law, it's about strategic non-alignment, about keeping your options open.
So you can adapt to changing circumstances. I can see the wisdom there. So don't overcommit, stay flexible. What other relationship gems has Robert Greene got for us?
Let's go to one that's, well, it's perfect for those who enjoy a little bit of strategic deception.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
Law #21. Play a sucker to catch a sucker seem dumber than your mark.
Oh, this is a classic. It's the bait and switch.
Exactly. You're using perception to your advantage. You appear less intelligent, less capable.
You lull them into a false sense of security.
Yes. And then, bam, you strike. Think about, a chess player who makes a seemingly careless move.
But it's all part of the plan.
Exactly. It's a trap.
Okay, so we're being strategically non-committal. We're maybe even playing a little dumb sometimes to get the upper hand. Anything else in this relationship playbook?
All right. We've talked about building relationships, but what about when those relationships, well, when they've run their course?
Ah, yes. The inevitable breakups, the falling outs.
That's where law hashtag 43 comes in. Work on the hearts and minds of others.
This one sounds a bit more, I don't know, touchy-feely than the others.
It does, doesn't it? But think of it as the art of persuasion. People are more likely to follow someone they admire, someone they trust, someone they feel connected to.
So it's not about manipulating emotions, it's about genuine connection.
Exactly. It's about understanding what motivates people on a deeper level, and then using that understanding to inspire, to influence.
So lead with empathy, not with force.
Got it. Wow, these laws of relationships, they've really shown just how complex human interactions can be.
They have. And it's been fascinating to see how these laws, even though they might seem a bit ruthless at first glance.
They can actually be applied in ways that are, well, more nuanced, more strategic.
Exactly. And as we wrap up our deep dive into the 48 laws of power, it's important to remember that these laws, they're not a guide to, being a manipulative jerk. They're more like a framework for understanding how power works.
It's about using that knowledge wisely, ethically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because true power, it's not about dominating others. It's about empowering yourself and empowering those around you.
Beautifully said. Well, that was quite a journey. From perception to action to relationships, Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power has certainly given us a lot to ponder.
They have.
And for our listeners out there, we'll leave you with this final thought. In a world that's constantly changing, who do you think holds more power? The person who clings rigidly to their position, or the one who's adaptable, flexible, willing to embrace change? Food for thought. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.